Okay, so now it's about keep smiling, yeah, because now we're live. But you were a little bit closer. Do you clean the webcam when you come on your Zoom session? Like, all right, me too. Yeah.
Better.
Okay, Luis, I think we're live here on Facebook. So I just
Great.
want to,
Thank you
yeah, I
for
just
having
want to
me.
first of all say big, big, big thank you for agreeing to come on
No,
this.
my pleasure.
I
Anytime.
really appreciate it. You are the laughter yoga master trainer and laughter ambassador, an expert on laughing in prisons in Mexico and probably around the world as well, because no
Well,
one knows it better than you do. So
I've
I'm
been
quite
I've
excited.
been doing this work for the last 10 years, visiting prisons, and and I started in Mexico City, and I've been doing in Mexico City. There are around 10 prisons, and I have visited all of them. And I started doing laughter with female prisoners, and then it was like once or twice a week, and then I started to visit some other prisons with guys, and I have visited some prisons here in other parts of my country, and two in Venezuela, and that's what I've been doing. I speak their language. I speak prison language. I feel very comfortable among them. I sometimes when people ask me to go visit another city, the first thing that I ask them is to help me do a session in prison. And sometimes they say, well, no, Luis, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous, please. And then I say, please finish up your sentence. And no, well, I'm telling you, it's too dangerous. And like, please finish up. And then I say, you can say, it's too dangerous for me. Because for me, Luis, it's not. Well, it's a matter of being aware, but not about being afraid. So I have encountered God when I visit prisons, when I interact with. Oh, we have.
That was a bad connection there.
So I feel very comfortable, and what I enjoy the most when we do laughter sessions is the silence that we establish at the end of the session, because the laughter it's super strong in those places because it's a matter of letting out a lot of emotions all at once, and I enjoy it a lot. But then most of the times I bring my bells, and sometimes we just go like this, and we keep in silence, and it's
All right.
it's wonderful because in those places the sound, the yelling never stops, and then when finally you have a group of people and that group of people are in silence, are in quietness, it's like it doesn't matter what is happening outside. It's like we create like a bubble,
Yeah.
and we are in peace, we are in joy, and that's a moment that's a super magical moment. And sometimes they say, you know what, it's at the end, I always love to listen to them, and they say, you know what, for a few minutes I felt that I was out of here. And
That is
so,
so
so
amazing.
sometimes I ask them, are you ready to have a legal breakout? And say, yes, let's do it.
Fantastic. But it's quite specialized. So you say that's where you really do make a big, big difference in prisons. But how did you get involved in that particular area of laughter yoga? Because I don't expect you to say, "Oh, you've been inside for so many years," or so.
Yeah, well, all started when I started theater, acting, and then one of our teachers told us that every year he would bring one play to one prison. So that was in my mind, but we didn't do it with that professor. So then I went to the US. I live in the US, and I met laughter yoga with my teacher, my brother, my hermano, Jeffrey Breyer. So when I came back to Mexico, I didn't know what to do, but I wanted to practice laughter yoga. I wanted to spread joy, and I wanted to spread what I have learned in the US. So I went to a meditation class, and at the end of the class, one lady said, I'm doing some social work in a prison. If anyone wants to go with us, please raise your hand. So I was like, please, I want to go, but I want to bring laughter. So I do whatever you want me to help you with, but on the side, I want to do some laughter with them. So she said, yes, join in. So I went with her like 2 or 3 times, and then the authorities of that place told me, why don't you come in another day? So they have more activities. So I went by myself doing laughter with a group. And then I did that as a volunteer for the first year. So I would go and I would bring some other people. And it was a bittersweet experience. Sometimes it was like, I was still learning a lot of the language about how they communicate. So on the second year, I spoke with the authorities of the whole penitentiary system. And I was like, I want to bring joy to the whole system, and they were, please do, that's fine. And then at the end, when I was talking with this person, he says, well, that's fine, just make a schedule and you are in. And I was, well, I just need 3 things, please. I need transportation, I need I need a promotion from the media, and I need money. And he said, oh, wait a minute. We can take you in. We can let you bring the media, the TV and newspaper or anything, but we don't have any money.
So that's what they all say. They say that, all of them.
And I say, you know what? I'll do it. So on the second year, I started to go to visit the other centers without getting any paid. But I got some interviews from the TV, from the newspapers, from the radio, and and then on the third year, they said, you know what? There is a place. There is you can work with us. We can give you some money. So I worked for them for 5 years. So wow. 2 years as a volunteer, 5 years as I was one of the instructors. And then I established a nonprofit organization. So amazing. I did this, I keep doing this work, and that allowed me to do my first documentary, in which wow. we did 22 days of laughter with a group of people in the penitentiary. They say that it's one of the most dangerous places. And so this is the place and the center, and in the center they have these guys that they don't go out. They just keep in this place because they are like they are protecting them. So when you have some animals and they don't interact with some other people or with more animals, with their pairs, they get more violent. When they don't move, that's what happens. So
they don't rehabilitate, do they? When they're not interacting, they don't rehabilitate at all.
Exactly. And they didn't have a lot of activities. So that's the group that they gave me, and it was
that's the group they gave you.
it was a group of around they live like around 30 people, and 20 out of 30 participated in the session, and it was probably the most amazing experience that I have so far, because
Wow.
it was doing like every single day. It didn't matter what happened, we would go, and I would bring my ex-wife, and I would bring some other people, and it was like you could feel well. And what we wanted to show is that the impact that laughter could have in a group of people. So we asked them, we took some pictures of them on the day 0. Before we started, we took some pictures, and at the end, we took some other
must
pictures.
have been amazing, the change.
Exactly.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, you work with the psychologists as well in the prisons, don't you?
Yes, that was the idea as well, because we want to see the changes. So we make some tests at the beginning, at the end. Like the tests were not only like psychological tests, but also like their writing. We asked them to do some drawings, and we could compare. And it was they say that it was a great difference before and after.
So what about so that's the did you find when you went from because you said you started working with the female prisoners, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you find there was a big difference between the groups? I imagine there must have been. Or what?
Yes, it is. Well, here in Mexico, in the prison system, sometimes the ladies have a lot of classes, a lot of resources, and not so much the guys. And sometimes I felt that they have more options, but the guys didn't. But I have worked with them, and I love work with any group. And now what I like to do more is like to do more prevention of crime, because when people are in jail, it's too expensive for us as society. But if we prevent, I think we can make a lot of changes. So I like to work with teenagers, with people. For example, I started a program that is called Risa Perrapia, Laughter and Dogs. So because we were asked to do some interventions with a group of children and adolescents and teenagers. So there were people from 1 year old all the way to 17. So the first time we tried to do some laughter, but didn't work. So we took our team of dogs, and they were amazed with the way we could interact with them.
You did say dogs, didn't you? Like wolf.
Yeah? Wolf. Dogs. Dogs.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, hold on a second, please. Like.
This is really exciting. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Like this one.
Oh, what a sweetheart. How many do you have then?
Like this one.
No. Oh, gorgeous you.
I have 3.
All right, yeah.
3. And last year we participated in Mexico Got Talent with one of them. I sent you a link so you can see.
That was what you were saying. You had 3 because I asked you if you had any children, and you said right. No. So you have 3 dogs, but they are like babies, aren't they? They are like
family, and they do an amazing therapeutic work.
Yeah, I think there's so much beauty in that. And so you worked with the dogs and laughter and the teenagers.
Exactly. The idea is to show them values like discipline, consistency, like paying attention, respect, joy, a lot of things that you could see in work, not just by talking, but you can see like if you mistreat a dog, he's not gonna be happy and he's not gonna do some other things that he could do. But if you treat him well, see what happens.
You know, that's a really, really, that is some amazing core skills, isn't it? Because sometimes young people forget these, or they're not taught these things. And this is where, like you say, this is crime prevention, isn't it? Because if they don't develop their emotional intelligence in terms of relating to other people, maybe through first learning to relate to dogs, then, you know, they are not fulfilled in that sense. They don't know how to connect and create relationships. And it becomes something that's challenged and ends up maybe being youth crime. So that's fantastic.
And these kids, they are not criminals. Their families have abused them in many ways, psychological, sexually, and many ways. So they put them in that place to be safe. So so they don't believe too much on people. So
you know, I think it's a beautiful program to bring in the dogs. It's really inspiring, and I think a lot of people who may be watching now or maybe watching later will find a lot of inspiration in it. What people were really interested in when I first posted about speaking with you and about the whole prison system and so on, people were like, oh, I've been working in a prison, I'm really interested in this and so on. And that's what people in the UK have been saying a lot of years on the training courses, that they wanted to bring laughter to the prisons. But no one's really done a lot in that area. And to be honest, it's not an area I've focused on very much. But I love working with teenagers, and you know, it really provides.
I think that's a good way to go. And when we met 3 years ago, I met a lot of wonderful people, including you, of course. And
oh, thank you.
Because you are my sunshine. And and well, there are some people that I've been talking to, and they have doing some interventions in their respective countries, and I'm so glad. And the first documentary that we did about laughter, it's been translated into English, into Chinese, into French, and I think that has opened some doors for people, because if you go like, no, Doc, I like to do some laughter with your inmates, and they're like, oh no, please, you're crazy. But if you go, you know what? See this. This is what people in other countries are doing. And we're a third world country. The conditions in here are totally different, and a prison in the UK or in another country. So I think, but prisoners are prisoners, and you have to be very careful. And we also did a manual. So
yes, I was going to ask you about that, because Merv Neal, a friend from Australia, he was saying, you know, he bought your, is it called Soy Libre? Yeah. So he bought that, and he said that is a must-have. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, Soy Libre is the documentary. I am free.
Oh, all right. I thought it was the manual.
We did a manual about doing laughter yoga sessions in prison.
Yeah.
So we talk about some considerations. The first thing that you have to think about is, what are your purpose of going there? And whatever your purpose is fine. It's like, because I want to be curious about how they interact, that's fine. But think always of giving something. And when you go there with your open heart, you'll find so many things. And I can tell you that that's been my main school. I've been in India with Dr. Kataria. I've been with Jeffrey. I've been taking so many classes, so many courses, so many workshops. But I can tell you that my main school, it's jail.
I totally believe you. You know, I just said to you, I haven't done much work or focused on prisons here, but I did a few years ago, or not a few years ago, probably 10 years ago, together with Julie Whitehead, I ran a couple of sessions in a prison. But they had an ambassador for us in there, in terms of she ran a holistic center for the female prisoners, and she wanted to bring laughter in there. And while she was there, she invited us in a couple of times. But when she left the prison and her job, the holistic center there was closed down. So yeah, what a shame.
How was the experience?
Oh, do you know, that was amazing. This is the thing. This is why we do this. It's the change we're seeing people from we come in until we leave, isn't it? Because it was there was so much hostility between the different cliques in the group, and you could kind of see the daggers flying between them and so on. And to connect them in the laughter session was like, they just afterwards they sat down in the areas, the sofa areas, and just chatted across the groups without those daggers flying and so on, just as friends suddenly, or friendlier. Yeah. And that's the change you want to see, that people are not shouting at each other because of disagreements, but they're actually talking and solving whatever is there.
Exactly. So, and it's amazing that you went, because having a girl visiting some places like that, it's like you contradict so many things. And that's why I would take my ex-wife, and I would take some female friends, because it's like we are family. And out there, when we do sessions, it could be your wife, or it could be your sister or your mom, and it doesn't matter who that person is, it's going to be treated with respect.
Yeah.
Because in prison, every prison has its own rules, its own codes. For example, here in that particular one, for example, when they say some visitors are coming through, they go like this.
Really?
So because staring at someone at their eye, it's a sign of fighting, or like,
wow.
Especially if it's someone's wife. So like this guy was looking at your wife.
You're not supposed to look at them. Wow.
You don't have to look at them.
But do you know what you say? If you have eye contact like more than 13 seconds, it becomes a threat. And it's that balance, isn't it? Because in laughter yoga, where you have so much eye contact, to make sure you cut it off before it becomes aggressive.
Contradiction. And when I go visit those places, in most of the prisons here, there is a huge corridor. It's called the kilometer. So there are it's like a huge flapmin. It's a huge market, and there are people walking, and so I look for their eyes.
Yeah.
So I always try to wear something colorful, and I look at the eyes, and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, we have a session in the auditorium. We have a session in that place. And at first, that's how this started. I would do some sessions in auditoriums, like everything smelled great, everything was fine, clean, and totally fine. And then I spoke with the authorities, and I was like, you know what? It's fine that we are doing this in here, but where is this therapy needed? And they were, you know what? We have some people in confinement. So I think could you go there? Sure. So we would go visit those places in which they don't have any visit. They don't have access to the rest of the place. So they are just in their cell, and sometimes they allow them to have some sunshine.
Do you know, it creates respect as well, doesn't it, for you, that you're willing to go there where other people may not be willing to go there? And it creates respect, doesn't it? And you know, that kind of respect to not maybe overstep your boundaries, I imagine, as well, because it's that thing about having the boundaries built up, so you're not allowing people to get too close or whatever they're not allowed to do.
Exactly.
Which of course there are the prison staff and so on will be there, I imagine, as well. But still, with the openness we bring in, because we don't know what they've done. I don't know if you do, but I didn't know what all of this, and it's none of our business either. It's you come in with an open heart and an open mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
and
the way to go.
embracing everybody, yeah. So I just love it. I love all the sessions, and I know some people who don't like running laughter sessions with teenagers necessarily, because teenagers, they're just a different breed, aren't they? But if we can prevent some of this from happening, we've been there, haven't we, years ago? We've all been teenagers. But it is a different way of working when you work with teenagers. So I could imagine bringing things like, not things, but people like dogs and so on would have a really good effect. And you can loosen them up in a much quicker way, I imagine.
Exactly. And what you have said is it's so important, because it's like, and it's the same in the laughter yoga clubs. I don't know. I don't need to know what you do. What I want, what I like is that you are here. That's for me the most important thing, and that you want to share, that you have a good intentions to be here. And I do this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most of the people who do this, we do it not because we're enlightened, but because we want to be better. I think most of the people who do this, we are neurotics. We have problems in so many things, but we still decide to do this. And there are some people that I've heard that they say, "Wow, I like to help people, but I'm so bad. So what can I say? What can I do?" Well, if you want to get better, go and help someone, and you'll feel better. So
true. That is so true, and I think sometimes we do forget that as well, Luz, because we're out there constantly doing what we can to both change our own lives and help others look at their own lives their lives in different ways. But we sometimes forget that we come from a place where we want to change too, and we still want it, don't we?
Exactly,
and
absolutely.
So much going on. Yeah, and especially right now. Are you doing prison sessions online at the moment, or what's happening?
We don't have that system, so we have to. And
they must miss you, though. They must miss you.
Yeah, but it's kind of today. Right now, the conditions are not the best, but I think we'll do it in this year. Well, that was the first documentary, Laughter. On the second one, and knowing that dogs help us to connect quickly with people, we decided to do another documentary in which, on the first part, we would bring our team of dogs and show them how to handle them. Like, my dogs do a lot of tricks and a lot of, they talk, they count, they do some acrobatic stuff. So
have you trained in dog handling and dog psychology and so on?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So and then, well, that was inspired in another documentary that is called Shelter Me, in which there are 3 components. There is a non-profit organization who knows how to train dogs. There is a prison, and there is a place in which they have dogs that are about to get to sacrifice because they were on the streets or they were abandoned. So they take these dogs and bring them to prison, and they are there day at night for 6 months. That's the other documentary. That's not mine. So I started with the dog program. I was afraid of dogs. I was allergic to dogs. But then, with Rosie, my ex-wife, I started to love them. I started to see all the things that they could do. So now I see beauty in dogs, but what I see most is behavior. So when you introduce me to your dog, like, well, it's a very good dog. What does he do? No, it's just beautiful. Oh, that's fine. But when I see a dog that wants to walk, that barks and that moves and that fetch and toes and to all of that, I'm like, wow, that's what I want to see in a dog.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, they need all sorts of stimulation, not just the physical
absolutely.
stimulation. They need, they're clever, aren't they? They are really, some of them are really clever.
So my teacher was Cesar Milan's teacher.
Really? Wow. I've really enjoyed watching Cesar Milan's program.
And my teacher said, you know what, Cesar Milan didn't finish, that's why he's doing a lot of BS.
Really?
And my teacher, David Cerda, he died a few weeks ago, and he was an amazing guy. He taught me a lot, and then on the practice I learned a lot as well. So the first month I would go three times a week, and we work with them and show them, and they could handle my dogs. And then and it's a prison that has a different program. It's called House of Middle Way. They go out. They have visits to parks. They have visits to museums. So what they want to do is like that the release is smoother.
So it's like a low security prison,
low security, and they are about to. They are like 3 or 4 months away to be released.
Okay. Yeah.
So from that place, they can even see the street, and they have other conditions. So the first month, we also did the same thing. We did some psychological tests, and we did some interviews, and then we would. On the first phase, that was it. Like, know how to handle this dog, and we would bring some puppies, like small dogs, and they would. You would see some of these guys, like very tough guys, and like,
oh yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, because it's the same thing when they see a baby. Yeah. It was the same thing. It's like all the barriers go down, and they're like, oh my God. Oh,
yeah. But it's like when you're talking to your dog, and when people go, "He's a good boy. He's a good boy," and the dog probably thinks, "What?"
So on the second phase, we asked them to pick one of them among all of the inmates, to select one guy who could be the beneficiary of having a dog day and night in that place.
Wow.
So they were, Daniel. So Daniel was the one, and we would bring a dog, and the face of that dog is like kind of rough. It was a mix of like pit bull, like tough, but it was a very sweet female dog. Okay. So we would bring the dog, and then in that place they don't have cells. They have a dormitory in which all of them sleep.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And they have bunkers. Yeah. So they were being like, well, if the dog is in the dormitory, I will be up there. No, please don't. That was the first thing that they say. And then one of the guys showed me a magazine, like those bloody magazines, like in which one dog had killed his owner. Oh. And the guy was like very in a very solemn tone. He's like, Luis, can you please explain this to me, please? A dog killed his owner. I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but I think if you treat someone and if you treat a dog well, he's not gonna hurt you. Well, anyways, I don't want to be close to those. At the following week, all of them were like, hey, can I run? Can I do some jogging with Pitaya is her name? And they were super happy. Like it was the prison pet, not only for the prisoners, but also for the workers, for the staff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, because all the environment changed.
Yeah.
So and I would go still and train this guy to train this dog, the new one. One thing is to work with one trained dog, and another totally different thing is to train a dog from scratch, from the very beginning. So I would go for it was like 2 months, and then I would train him, and then this guy was released and took his dog. So he still has his dog.
Oh, that is so sweet.
And he is working as a dog trainer. He walks he walks dogs, and he's making some money. So that
is amazing, because it's like rescue dogs, isn't it? Instead of them being
So a friend of mine rescued that dog, and Daniel rescued that dog, and the dog rescued Daniel.
Oh,
did you see all the rescue involving?
Oh, that is so beautiful.
So that was he was released on February. He was released on Saturday. On Tuesday, it was the first program in Mexico Got Talent.
Wow.
So I asked him if he wanted to go, but he was still doing some paperwork, and he didn't go. So I went by myself with my dog. And then for the second program, or on the first program, I talked in the program what I was doing in the prison and all of that, and they were crying. They were, oh my God! Before I was doing any performing, they were, oh my God! I felt they were mine. They were like, yes. I passed to the second phase, and then I invited Daniel. And Daniel would practice with me. We would doing some rehearsing. At first, he became like a little star. He was like, "Oh, I'm tired." So I would be with him. Please, Daniel, jump 20 times. Oh, really? Yes. We're performing in front of 500 people in that theater, and also for a lot of people on TV. So your energy has to be up. Okay, that was day 1. Day 2. Are you ready, Daniel? Yes, I'm ready. You are not ready. 20 jumps. And again, and then I said, you know what? We're not having this conversation anymore. If you don't want to practice, I can do it by myself. So if you want to practice, you have to have discipline, and you have to be sharp. Okay. I'm not talking about this anymore. Okay. So after that, we practice, and then when we went to the theater, because it is like a 1 hour away, so they would take us like very early in the morning, and he was like, wow, are we performing here? Wow, a super huge theater, and he was like, wow, thank you, Luis. So from being in a prison for like 1 month ago, he was in a prison, and then being there and doing something that he loves doing, it was amazing. And I still have contact with him, and he's happy with what he learned. This is something that you never stop learning, so he's still learning, but he's making some money. He's fine after 1 year. I'm very proud of Daniel, because he's doing the right thing now. And one thing, and this is the link for what we were talking. If I go to a slum, to a favela, to a bad neighborhood, and I want to talk from me, and they will be like, oh, come on, you don't know anything of any of our lives. But if I take Daniel, or I've been taking so many other guys who have been released, and they look for me, and we work, and I ask, you know what? We have this gig today. Do you want to go? Yes. So they are happy to share what they have learned, because
that is amazing.
It's very sad, but some people here in bad neighborhoods, their golden dream is to be in the penitentiary. It's not to be traveling, it's not to have a career, a master's, or to have a car, to have a house. It's like my golden dream is to be in jail, because it's like a right of like manhood right,
Yeah.
ritual, manhood ritual. Like I
Really?
was in prison, so they pull. You are
Really.
a big guy.
That is really sad, though. If people have
It's
that.
crazy, it's insane.
Yeah.
So if you or I talk to these guys and like, please behave, blah, 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 blah,
They're not going to listen, are they?
but if a guy like this tells them, you know, what are you here for? Well, you know what? Well, I was doing some drugs. Come on, man. I was in jail for 28 years. Do you want to be like me? It's like like shock therapy. And we've been doing some of this as well. And I think
a really good way of working together.
Powerful. And there is a guy, he's like 55 year old. And sometimes we have visited some, how do you call it? For the prisons for teenagers.
Yeah. Youth penitentiaries, isn't it? Or, yeah.
So the guy goes with them, and we don't talk much. So the guy has like, okay, come on, let's do some exercise and do some push-ups, and okay, and then have a seat. Let's talk a little bit. I was in jail and I was doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And the reason why I'm here is because I don't want you to go to those places. I want you to be better. Now I've been out for 4 years and I work and I exercise and I go, oh.
But you're absolutely right. They're the people that they will be listening to, aren't they? And then you come in and do some other magic and so on. Because I also think they will trust you because you come in there with them. So there's a bond between you.
Exactly.
And you being there must mean, okay, they trust you, so we can trust you too.
Exactly. That's the idea.
But it's like when people say, and I'm sure you've heard that too, people say to you, oh, but it's easy for you to laugh because you haven't been through this and that and this and that. But the thing is, people don't know your story and my story and what we've been through and so on in life.
Exactly.
So talk about it's easy. Well, I just chose for it to seem like it's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the importance of this. That as you said, I am the link. So
yeah.
But then they can relate with the guy that is talking to them. And Victor was in jail for 28 years. And here the conditions in jail have changed a lot. But in the past, they would be like right now, they would put in confinement for a few days or things like that. For him, they would, how do you call it? They would, how do you call it? Well, they would put him in confinement for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So, what? No, like the hair, the nails, everything. Like it was like,
wow.
Nobody cares about you and you are very tough, right? Yeah. So now you deserve that. So what he talks is like he would do some breathing exercises because sometimes he didn't have any windows, so it was super cold. Yeah. So by doing some breathing, he would warm up by himself.
That's so amazing to find that in yourself when you're in that situation is like, wow. Even if you feel like, oh, I deserve to be here, it's still tough stuff. to go
super
through.
tough.
Yeah.
And so he talks about those things, and we talk a lot. We're like when someone goes with me to talk to a group of, and sometimes like we go to Aeromexico, which is a big airplane company, and so we have like different speeches for different people.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
because I think the most important thing is that you relate with the guy who is in front of you, like, and
I'm so glad you say that, because that is the most important thing, that when you go into a group, that you don't just go in and go ta-da or that you meet them at their energy level and so on, and meet them where they're at, and don't just overdo it, but you have to figure out what is it actually they need right now. And you never know until you're there with them. You really don't know.
Absolutely. So we have different approaches, and sometimes some guy, I'm like, oh yeah, tell them about when you went for. I think he was in confinement for 2 years. So being in confinement now, people are complaining about this phase of the pandemic, that you have to be in your house. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but still you have the option, and you know that at some point it's gonna change. But these guys, and you have some things at home, like you can cook, you can move, but imagine being in a room, but which dimensions are like 3x4, and being with 15 guys.
Oh my gosh, do you know what? It's something, unless you've been there, you really can't imagine exactly what it's like. It's so different from the life we're used to, isn't it? So
exactly.
So I think it's amazing the work you do with not just, I mean, we started out talking about your initial work with prisons and so on, and then going through the journey with teenagers, and then with dogs and the programs, the different programs. So just to return to your manual and so on, because people can buy that, can't they?
Yes,
I didn't intend to sell your stuff, but I thought that.
Thank you. We haven't sold the manual and the documentary, and I'll give you the link so you can contact me, and I'll be happy to sell it to you. And for the second documentary, we haven't finished because
I can't wait for it.
The director wants, we have done all the takes inside the prison, but we are still waiting for some work outside. So we want to show the contrast. This was Daniel, and he, in the documentary, he's talking, well, when I'm out, I'm gonna take some people. I'm planning to do some this and this and this and this. So we are planning to do some takes outside.
Yeah, that makes sense. That really makes sense. So are you limited at the moment because of the whole virus?
Yeah, because we cannot put any groups together. Daniel was doing something. He was taking some people he's a guide for tourism of adventure. So he would take them to some rivers and things like that. So he hasn't done that because of the conditions now. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to come out. So any other plans apart from that when going back, or are you just going to focus where you've been focusing?
Well,
because you have developed it over the years.
We're still working with dogs. We're still doing some work with them, and it's time to practice. We are doing some laughter yoga session. Well, we call it unconditional laughter, and we do it at 8:30 in the morning every single day. We have done it for 3 months, and we call it the laughing tribe, la tribu.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Do you know what? Because I keep missing it. So if you send me the link to the laughing tribe, and also the link to your things so you can buy it, Then
Sure.
I'll circulate all of it and put it in the YouTube video as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you know what? Go on.
No. You.
No, I was going to say I can't believe how time has just rushed by because we're actually getting close to. I was thinking whether we were going to finish at 4, just because you were 15 minutes late. Agreed. But yeah. So anything else you really want to leave people with in terms of something to inspire? Not that you haven't been inspiring because you have definitely, but anything you want to.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And you are a master too, and you have done a lot of work. It's always a pleasure having contact with you and with Merv and all the big guys that I keep learning from you guys. And I love, and one thing that I'm thankful about this coronavirus thing is that I think we are more in contact with people that you want to be.
Yeah.
I think we are more accessible, and there are so many things that we can say that are wrong, but this is wonderful. It's wonderful that you are doing this, that you are my sunshine, of course.
You know what? I so agree with you that, for many people, this has been a situation where they've seen all the darkness in it, but there is so much light as well. And the beauty of it is that we actually have the opportunity to connect with people we may see every 3 years. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
And we should do it even if there isn't lockdown and so on. We should still do it, but it's only now it's kind of come to light, isn't it, that this is how we communicate. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lou.
Thank you. And I think there are several things that we connect to be in a good position, in a good way. And I was thinking, and I remember what I was going to say. We started doing laughter in jail. But after that, after a few years, we have learned that there are some other things that connect us to joy. Singing, dancing. We have a choreography. We have a choreography that it's a 2-minute long choreography. So we did this choreography in several centers. And I think the most important thing for us as a humans is that we are focused. Perhaps not focused the whole day, but when you are focused on something, nothing else is important, like just one thing. And so that's what I want to train, and I want to exercise, and I want to show that these guys could be focused for 2 minutes. We start by that. And we did some musicotherapy as well, music therapy, and we did some other things. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to train you to be focused. And I think when we are focused, we connect with each other, we connect with God.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you are reading, when you are cooking, or when you are in a reunion with your friends, and when you are doing something that you really love, you don't even know what time it is. You don't care. You're like, wow, is it that late? Wow. We for 1 hour also. And
but this is the thing, isn't it? This is the thing, because also when we focus on something we love, it's the energy we give out, and that's what we attract back in, and so on. So I really, really think you're spot on there. Focus is one of the key things that comes when we're doing what we enjoy. And it's the same with this this hour we spent together, almost hour.
And another thing that I want to finish with this, with the laughter club that we are doing every morning. It's been amazing because we connect. We are creating this family that most of the people I never met in person. Well, and there is one of our favorite people, one of the favorite persons that go to the sessions. It's Kotaro. Kotaro, it's a Japan. You met him in Germany?
Yeah.
Met him?
Oh, yes. Oh, he's wonderful.
Wonderful. And so we do some talking at the beginning, some talking at the end, and we laugh for 15 minutes. That's what we do. So this guy, at first I would try to translate, but he would laugh. He would just laugh. So he didn't speak English. He would say, "I love you," and things like that. But he comes every single day, and he is part of our family. So this is a lesson by itself for us, because we don't need to speak even the same language.
I know.
And today he brought up that he has a translator. So he's a translator, and thank you. So we are happy with, I'm so proud of this. I'm so glad that we can reach to each other, that we do this. I would love to keep knowing more about your work and to have more events like the one we had 3 years ago.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because I think that's how the world should be, like seeing you and being knowing that I can play with you, because we were like, how many people? Like 300 people in that event.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
And all of us were there for our best intention, to have fun, to interact, to understand other cultures, to understand what other people were doing. And I think that's the most amazing thing that we could do.
It is, yeah. And you know what, Luis? I really look forward to you being on stage in 2022 in London when we have the Playing Human conference, because you have a background I haven't heard much about in theatre and so on. So
say that again.
You say you have a background in theatre and acting.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know anything about that. So we'll speak again.
Yeah.
But for now, really, thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime.
A true pleasure and a real privilege. So have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, bye.